Hello friends, this is our guided reading lesson for Monday, December 9th, 2019. This week we are going to read the book Ships of Discovery. It is a nonfiction informational book, which means that it is based on fact and real events. It is not fiction. So to summarize the book, Ships of Discovery is an informational book about the types of boats that explorers built and used when discovering new lands. Ships and conquests of Polynesian, Viking, European, and Chinese explorers are explained. The author also describes the people who set out to sea as well as their motivations for going. Illustrations and maps support the text. So our targeted reading strategy, the strategy that we're going to use today, is summarizing. The objectives, or what you will be able to do by the end of the lesson, is to summarize to understand nonfiction text, compare and contrast, identify adjectives, and identify compound words. So, have you ever been to a marina or another place to look at boats? What types of boats or ships did you see, or do you know of? What are the different shapes and designs of boats? How do you think ships were invented? Why were ships invented? Let's look at the book. So please open up your book, and I'll open up mine. If I can find the button. The button always disappears on me. All right, so this is the back cover and the front cover of the book. This is Ships of Discovery. It is written by William Hausman and illustrated by Send Hill. So we have the table of contents. And remember, the table of contents tells us the subject on the pages of the book and where we can find them. So we can find the introduction, early years and other subjects, a conclusion, which is a summary of what you just read, and the glossary. The glossary is at the very end. And remember, a glossary gives us words that we might need to know and tells us if they're a verb, which means an action, a noun, which means a person, place, or thing, or an adjective, which describes a word. And it also tells us what page we can find these words on. So looking at the front and back covers of the books, what do you see? I see ships on water, which I'm assuming is the ocean. I see some clouds. I see birds. The ships on the back cover of the book look very different from the ship on the front cover of the book. The one on the back cover, they kind of look older, whereas the front cover looks a bit more modern. So as I said, our reading strategy today is summarizing. One way to understand what you're reading is to stop often during reading to summarize in your mind what you're reading about in the book. So as I read this book, I'm going to pause often to remind myself about the ships I have read about so far. This helps me remember what I'm reading and makes me think about new information. When I finish reading the book, I should be able to tell in my own words some of the information about ships that I have read about. So as you read, I would like you to use this reading strategy and others to help you remember the information that you're reading. And a comprehension skill that we're going to focus on today is comparing and contrasting. So one way an author helps readers understand information in a book is to tell how topics in the book are alike and different. So let's look at the illustrations or the pictures on pages 3 and 4 of the book. So, one way that, I pressed the wrong button. One way that these boats are similar is that they both float on water. But the boat that's on the table of contents page has sails, and these sticks are oars, a bunch of oars. Whereas the boats on the right on the introduction page, they look more like canoes. They're very small and they're man-powered, which means you have to do the work. So that is how they are similar and different. So we can compare these two books using a Venn diagram. A Venn diagram, you put the two subjects onto different circles. So this could be the large boat on the table of contents page, and this can be the small boats on the introduction page. And we list all the details about those boats in their own circles, and then we list the details that they both share in the middle where they are alike. So the large boats, as I said, have large sails and have oars, like big oars. And the smaller boats are much smaller. They do not have sails and they are man-powered. And how are they alike? They're both boats and they both float on the water. Can you think of other similarities and differences to add to the Venn diagram? So 3 types of ships that we're going to be seeing throughout this book are called caravels, catamaran, and nars. I would like you to look through the book and see if you can figure out which is which. So on this page at the bottom, there's a photo of a ship with sails, and it kind of looks like there are 2 canoes, very big canoes, put together. That is a Polynesian catamaran. I know this because I read the caption, the words right below the picture. It tells me what I'm looking at. So now let's look at this Age of Discovery. There is a word in bold. That is the caravels. Sometimes if we read the sentences before and after the word that the vocab word is in, it helps us understand that word better. So I'm going to read the sentence before and the sentence after, then the sentence with the word. So shipbuilders had to find ways to build faster and safer ships. These ships had 3 masts to carry sails. This design made the ships fast and easy to steer. So the sentence with the word in it says, in the 1400s and 1500s, Christopher Columbus and other explorers used small, sturdy ships known as caravels. So these are faster and safer ships. They're small and sturdy. They have 3 masts to carry sails. They are fast and easy to steer. Now look at the photo. That is a photo of a caravel. Do the sentences that I just said that explain what a caravel is support that image, or does that image support them? So now you are going to read the book to learn more about the different types of ships of discovery. And remember, stop reading after each section to review what you learned, so you summarize a little bit in your head. So I would like you to go to the book. Please read to the end of page 8. When you're finished reading, you can tell me what words that you might have had some difficult time with. And you can point out the ships or boats that you knew about and tell how the information you already knew helped you understand what you were reading. Can you choose one of the boats and summarize what you learned? As I read, I paused to summarize in my mind what I learned about each type of boat. For example, I read that canoes were made by hollowing out tree trunks. They were sturdy boats, but they couldn't carry very much. I'll keep reading to learn more interesting facts about other types of boats. While I read, I'll summarize what I've read to help me remember the new information. Okay, now you can read to page 10. Now that you've read to page 10, share the important information about the Polynesians and their ships. Write a brief summary of the section on a piece of paper. Now, using a Venn diagram like the one that I showed you, like that one, you can compare and contrast Greek and Polynesian ships. So you can put the information in your Venn diagram. Now you can read the rest of the book. And remember to think about the details in the book so you can summarize the information after you read. Now that you've read the book, were there any words that you struggled with or had a hard time understanding at first? Did you use the strategy to read the sentence before and after to help you, or to read the captions, to study the pictures, to summarize your reading? How does the strategy of summarizing help you understand the book? Well, I know that summarizing keeps me actively involved in what I'm reading and helps me understand and remember what I've read. I know that I will remember more about different kinds of ships because I summarized the information in my own words as I read the book. So I would like you to take a moment and write a summary on the section, The Vikings, on a separate sheet of paper. Let's review the similarities and differences between Greek and Polynesian ships. You can add any new information that you think of to the Venn diagram. Remember, in a Venn diagram, we put one subject, which would be Greek, in one circle, a second subject, which would be Polynesian, in the second circle, and we put their similarities in the middle where they overlap. Can you provide examples of how Viking ships and Chinese ships are alike and different? You can put this information in a new Venn diagram. If you would like more practice with Venn diagrams, you can compare and contrast Spanish galleons and Chinese junks. You can write in the two topics you're comparing on the lines below. So Spanish galleons, Chinese junks. And then you write the details that tell how the topics are different in the outer circles and the ones that are alike in the inner circle that overlaps. But that is optional. You've done many Venn diagrams if you've been following along. So I'm not going to force you to do that. That is optional if you'd like some extra practice, because practice is awesome. All right, so what I'd like you to leave with of this book is that in this book, you learned about many different types of ships. You learned about different countries and their motivations to create bigger, better vessels. Now that you know this information, why is it important to know about the evolution of ships to fully understand the history of discovery? All right, and if you'd like some extra practice, because practice is awesome, you can review adjectives, those words that say which one, how many, or what kind, those descriptive words. So let's take a look at these sentences and see how many adjectives are in each one. So the very first sentence, people created oars to move in deep water. Which word or words give a description? What it is, how many? Well, people is a subject, move is a verb, deep. Deep describes water. So that is the adjective. Let's look at the next one. These large ships help people explore distant places. What are the adjectives in this sentence? Large, because it describes how big ships are, and distant, because it describes how far away a place is. One more. What are the adjectives in this sentence? The Viking longships were speedy and efficient. Viking describes longships, and so does speedy and efficient. So they are all adjectives. So adjectives describe the noun or the subject. So sometimes there's more than one. Sometimes there's only one. Sometimes it does not go directly with the thing it's describing, like with the Viking longships. Well, Viking goes with longships, but speedy and efficient are over here, but they still go with longships. It's the describing. So what I would like you to do is go to the last paragraph on page 13 and pick the adjectives out that you find. And you can identify the noun that each adjective describes and whether the adjective is telling which one, how many, or what kind. So let's read this last paragraph together. Shipbuilders had to find ways to build faster and safer ships. In the 1400s and 1500s, Christopher Columbus and other explorers used small, sturdy ships known as caravels. These ships had free masts to carry sails. This design made the ships fast and easy to steer. Caravels had square sails on the front and the middle mast and a triangular shaped sail on the back mast. So in that paragraph, I never shared it, I apologize. In that paragraph, this one right here, what are the adjectives, the nouns that the adjectives are describing, and what the descriptor is? So these ships had free masts to carry sails. Free describes how many masts there are. And then we are told what kind in several places. What kind of ship? A faster and safer ship. What kind of ship? A small and sturdy ship. What kind of ship? Fast and easy to steer. What kind of sails? Square sails. Triangular shaped sail. Where were these sails? On the front, in the middle mast, and on the back mast. And again, I'm not requiring you to do this. This is your choice. If you would like more practice with adjectives, if you feel comfortable with adjectives, then skip it. If you think you need a little more practice, you can do this worksheet. Write a sentence for each of the following nouns. Include at least 2 adjectives to describe the noun. So these words are nouns. You need to include 2 descriptors or adjectives to talk about that noun. One last thing I would like to review is compound words. Compound words is a word formed by 2 words. So this first word, warships. What 2 words make warships? War and ships. And we can use the meaning of each individual word to come up with the meaning of the one word. So war means a battle and ships is a boat. So when we put the 2 together, we have boats used in war. Now let's try waterways. What 2 words make up waterways? Water and ways. What does water mean? What does ways mean? What is a waterway? A waterway is a place where water flows. Flat-bottomed. This word's different because it has a hyphen. So is it still a compound word? Yes. Some compound words are smack up against each other, no spaces. And others have a hyphen and others have a space. So these are still compound words. So let's just delete the hyphen for now and separate the words. Flat-bottomed. What does flat mean? What does bottom mean? We put the two back together and it means that we have a smooth end. North America. Do you remember what we said? Is North America a compound word? But it has a space. It's still a compound word. North means up. It's a direction. And America is a place. We put them together and we have the northern part of America, the top part of America. All right, we're going to practice this in the book. Find the page. Find the page. All right, can you tell me the compound word in this sentence? Oops, what did I do? Okay, shipbuilders had to find ways to build faster and safer ships. What is the compound word in that sentence? Remember, a compound word is two words that make up one word. Sometimes they're smack up against each other. Sometimes they have a hyphen. Sometimes they have a space. What is the compound word in the highlighted sentence? Shipbuilders. We can separate those and make it into two words, ship and builders. What is a ship? A boat. What is a builder? Someone who makes something. So what is a shipbuilder? Someone who makes ships. Let's try one more. Okay, we are going to read. I'd like you to follow along as I read. This is page 19, the conclusion. By the middle of the 1800s, sailors had explored and mapped most of the world's coasts. As people settled farther from their homelands, better ships were needed to move people and supplies great distances. Fast ships called clipper ships carried people across oceans in a matter of days. Some of these ships had as many as 35 sails. In only a few years, however, the steam engine would replace wind power, ending the age of sailing ships. When we look at some of the ships used by early explorers to sail across oceans, we have to admire their courage. Explorers and their ships of discovery helped create the world we live in. All right, in this first paragraph, there are 4 compound words. Can you find them? All right, if you need more time, please pause. So, there is homelands. What are the 2 words in homelands? Home and lands. So what does that word mean? Home means somewhere you live. Lands, like land, like grass, acre. a physical place. So homeland is where you live. Clipper ships. Clipper means ships means we put them together and we get 35. 30 and 5. And this one might have been tricky. However, how and ever. All right, friends, and again, not required, highly recommended though, especially if you need a little help. You think, I kind of get it, kind of don't. You can do this activity. Match words from the left-hand column with words from the right-hand column to create compound words found in Ships of Discovery. Then write the compound words you created on the lines below. So let's do one. Let's do water. And let's look at the words on the right. What can we combine with water to make a compound word? Ways. We just did this one, so we can do that. Waterways, and then we can write it here. So that's a great way to practice. All right, friends, it's the end of guided reading for today. I hope you have a wonderful day.